Boom, we are alive, ladies and gentlemen. What a rip-roaring market we've seen over the last 24 to 48 hours. And we've been watching Bitcoin. Now, I'm a huge fan of the Wyckoff accumulation ranges. And what we had seen for the first time in many months of down cycle trend here was this first reaccumulation inside the box. Now, these are my favorite moments. If you've followed this channel for a long time, you'll know that these are the most lucrative with the least amount of risk and the least amount of waiting for chopping the market to get in and play heavy. So this horizontal accumulation range, it doesn't look super noticeable, but there's a few things that happen. And over the years, I've come to love this moment in the market. We are in some type of long, drawn out, extended process of either accumulation or distribution. In this case, it looked like it could turn into distribution. I actually thought we would see a spring right here and a move back inside the box, but we saw a reaccumulation after decline. So our private members will know, we've been studying this for quite some time. This is what a reaccumulation schematic 4 looks like. We usually have a break up into a new high, and then it pushes down into phase B, and phase C and D, our favorite moments, are inside of the trading range. So here we see this accumulation. Instead of seeing a spring here, our secondary test pushes us into a new box accumulation. We have some type of max peak fear here down near April 6th, which is when the Trump tariffs came in. People saying the market's over, the stock market's going to drop. Actually, the Bitcoin outpaced the market here by a few days. It was pretty impressive, actually, because Bitcoin is now leading the market cycle, which we haven't seen in quite a long time. We'd seen other times when this has happened. It's not a total decoupling, but it's just moments where the market dynamics have shifted, and what we're witnessing is a more poignant focus on risk on assets or risky assets, which are assets that do well during risk on scenarios like gold, for instance, or commodities in general. It's a lack of trust in government and a loss of faith in currency, markets, cycle, a whole bunch of things kind of all will coalesce at once here over the next few months. But nonetheless, this beautiful horizontal accumulation range inside of the reaccumulation range clicked, and a massive blowout. And that's the fun part, is right here within the accumulation range, you have your last kind of test, you break into an SOS, you have a final backup phase here, which is usually a really small reaccumulation right outside of the back of the box, and then you move into a very large SOS. So we're about to see the LPS phase, and this is kind of the last chance to dance. Usually it's also the most important confirmation, which can bring us down as low as 89,000. Sometimes you'll see a bigger horizontal reaccumulation range take place here as a final checkpoint before the market operators push it into big breakout phases. So I suspect we're going to see something like that here. It might not be that we might not go down to 88. I wouldn't hold my breath. I think this is the start of the finality of the bull market, and there's a reason for that. Many other assets seem to be moving in that direction as well. So we're going to take a quick look at a few of those. Again, remembering that these reaccumulation cycles, what we're looking for, this is what Bitcoin looked like here. This was a much more interested reaccumulation schematic 2 inside the box. So again, remember on the larger time frames, we were looking at a reaccumulation after decline. But inside of the box, the most impressive part of the footprint and the most interesting, in my opinion, is always these last moments right before the market really kicks into gear. And that's this horizontal reaccumulation range here, which is effectively what we saw, reaccumulation schematic 2. As soon as we broke outside the box, we tested the top of the box and we moved out basically onwards and upwards. So that's what we've seen. SOS to the top of the box, test the top of the box, and then onwards and upwards. So these footprints in the wild are extremely valuable to know. We've got a bunch of PDFs and courses inside the private group that are drip delivered to you as soon as you sign up. But anyways, this has been my favorite. And as you'll notice in the previous video I did and the live stream I did the other day, I said, this is it. And we were correct again. So that's it's a fun little thing to keep an eye on. Now, positioning yourself within these movements can feel difficult, especially if you're playing with leverage. But nonetheless, here we see, I just wanted to point this out as well. This is near on the daily chart. We've been in a very long downtrend. Let's see, 140 days of a consistent down, and we are running towards the top of this range right now. So I suspect near will continue to run. Psi was another one I think had a really beautiful kind of chart to it. This is again another reaccumulation range. Now I haven't highlighted the horizontal portion of the range yet, but it looks something like this. And what we just saw was the spring and the test. So we've just finished the test in SEI here, and this is actually much more similar to this trading range here. So schematic 4 in our accumulation ranges are actually falling wedges, as you can see at the top here, noted by the blue, and the bottom of the wedge noted by the red dots. These are tests of this range, and we can see that similarity here. Top test, multiple bottom test. We've moved into reaccumulation right out at the corner edge of the pattern. So again, if we zoom in now at the very bottom of this falling wedge, you can see what a really nice horizontal reaccumulation range. We break out, we test the top of the box, then we move continually upwards. So there's a bunch of assets now that look like this. SUI is right at the top of its range as well. It had treated me kind of like shit. I was actually quite upset at it because it just was had so much bottom chop. I feel kind of stupid for getting pushed out of this position because I had a huge game changer position in SUI. I was looking at the falling wedge as well, again within the horizontal trading range, so it's very likely that we move back up to the $4 range here for SUI. This tight range was a bit too choppy. It wasn't as clear to me, and I got pushed out of my position, sadly, because it would those are positions that make houses in days, and they're my favorite. So sadly, I got pushed out of that one. Being emotionally stable throughout that process is so important. It's one of the hardest things as either a trader or an investor, to have long-term commitment and conviction to what you're going through and stay stable throughout the process, because it's hyper valuable moments in the market when you can foresee these falling wedges showing up, then their patterns as they accumulate, and the breakouts that follow. You know, for SUI already, it's 30% basically, which is huge. I think again, Psi is about to do that very same thing. It's in the last parts of this reaccumulation at the bottom of a falling wedge and on its way to the top of the box here. Now, does it continue onwards and upwards out of the top of the box? I don't want to make that guess yet, but I do believe that's what's about to happen for Bitcoin and all of the other assets. All of the assets will continue to move up from here. There's probably around a 40 to 50% run potential for many of the assets, and for me that puts Bitcoin around 150,000. So we haven't done this in a really long time, but we'll pull a fib retracement from the top to the bottom of the range. We've got our 1618 at 124 and our 2.618 at 154,000. If it gets super duper crazy, we have the last stop at the 4236 at around $200,000 for Bitcoin. So I haven't done a fib retracement in a while. Usually only pull those out when we know we're about to move into bull market mode. And that looks like the case. So I'll just leave that drawn up there for now. Everything looks bullish and ready to go. Hope you guys are enjoying the ride. Steve with the Arcane Bear. Leave your thoughts, your comments. Share this video far and wide. We're trying to regrow the channel. I would really like to break 100,000 subscribers. So if you guys could post this video on all of your social media channels and just post it anywhere you possibly can, on Reddit, Twitter, whatever it might be. I've always wanted to get to 100K on YouTube, and it's been a long, constant grind. I feel I'm making valuable content for everybody. So, but I suck at thumbnails and I never edit it. I just press record, do all the screen sharing stuff myself, and I hope for the best. So anyways, if not, it's not super important if we don't get there, but I just would like to reach that goal one day, you know. To Steal with the Arcane Bear, signing off. See you guys again in the next episode.